Hello everyone, Kent Bressler here. I want to welcome you to Kent's Kidney Stories. During our time together over these podcasts, I'd like to discuss kidney disease. I'd like to tell you about my journey as a transplant patient, but also talk about dialysis, kidney donation, and just about anything else that might be of interest. Kent's Kidney Stories, a podcast endorsed and sponsored by kidneysolutions.org. Hello everyone, this is Kent Bressler, and we're going to do our 41st podcast this morning. I'm pretty proud of the fact that the gal that I got coming on is a good friend and a wealth of knowledge. And after our prayer this morning, we're going to get right to it. So pray with me, will you please? Dear Lord, help me to find happiness in forgetting myself and in trying to bring help and happiness to others. We ask this in your name, dearest Lord. Amen. Always good to kind of set your life in order here. Prayer is the biggest part of this, and I know that it's an important part of my life of my next guest. And Jennifer Jones is an extremely talented and experienced kidney advocate, and I want to bring attention to her. And I'm just going to let her talk about her life because it's really interesting, and I believe you'll get some hope out of this whole process. So Jennifer Jones, good morning to you.
Good morning, Kent. Thank you so much for having me.
You're pretty special. You're kind of like the daughter I never had. I had two, but I thought maybe I'm now collecting them. A lot of daughters in this whole process. You might even be close to my granddaughter. I don't know age-wise. So listen, tell me, I can read your bio. Anybody can go on AAKP's website and read your bio, and it's very, very, very detailed. But I want to talk about you right now, your journey with kidney disease, because it is significant. And you can entail your military background. I would really like to hear your story. So tell me, what is it? What kind of disease process, what kidney disease do you have?
Well, first, Kent, you're too kind to me. Thank you so much. I is really excited to be here to share my kidney disease journey. I was diagnosed in 2011 with a rare autoimmune disease called, get this name, this is a good name, Membranoproliferative Glomerulonephritis, type 1 idiopathic, which means that no one has been able to tell me what caused it. However, I started exhibiting symptoms of my kidney shutting down while forward deployed to Afghanistan in 2011 while I was serving in the United States Marine Corps as a combat camera videographer. I just started having swelling in my face and my lower extremities, and this was July timeframe, so it's extremely hot over there. So I'm pushing fluids, drinking plenty of water, exercising, doing work, and so what was occurring to me didn't make sense. So ultimately, I had to go to medical to get checked in. And they discovered that I had nephrotic syndrome. And as we all know, if you are diagnosed first with nephrotic syndrome, there has to be an underlying cause to nephrotic syndrome.
Right.
So that's what because there was nothing that they could do for me in Afghanistan. I was at Camp Leatherneck, and yes, there was a medical facility for them to do what they needed to do to confirm that I did indeed have nephrotic syndrome. I had to be sent to the hospital in Longstuhl, Germany. You know, that's where they send all the wounded and ill soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and all of that. And I was there for 2 weeks, getting all of these tests and evaluations because the swelling just began to get progressively worse and worse. And once they confirmed that I had nephrotic syndrome, I was sent back to the States, where I was at Walter Reed, which I know now everybody knows. what Walter Reed is. If they didn't know, now they know. But I have the fortune of being a patient at Walter Reed in Bethesda, Maryland. And I was there for almost 3 months because they could not determine what was going on with me. They knew that my kidneys were failing, but they couldn't figure out why. And when they approached me with that diagnosis, it was a shock, because at the time I had just turned 27 years old. I was a career Marine. This is my job. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I want to do. And now you're telling me that I have to be medically retired? Nah, that wasn't.
Yeah.
Yes, that broke my heart. That crushed me. I was not ready. I even tried to fight to stay in, but my commanding officer was like, now your job is to deploy, to go out, to be out there. And with my medical condition, that was something I was unable to do.
No, because you went into dialysis, did you not?
Actually, it was after I was medically retired.
Okay.
That I went into dialysis.
Okay.
So
let me ask you really quick. I don't want to get you off track, but when was your first biopsy? How did they diagnose this idiopathic disease process? It had to be biopsy, right?
Yes. That's why I had to be sent back to the States, because they were not allowed to do a kidney biopsy in Germany. So they sent me back to Walter Reed, and that sent me to Walter Reed, and that was in August. So August 2011. And my first kidney biopsy was extremely painful for me. It was not a pleasant experience, but that's what they used to determine that I had significant renal damage, and they discovered that I had MPGN.
And they staged you what then? Was it 3 or 4?
3.
3? Okay,
Yes.
So you had a little time there in the window before you went on doc. I get it. Okay. Well, continue on then with your progression after you got out and got to Walter Reed.
Yes. So I was told that I would have to be medically retired. So I got all of my affairs in order, prepared for that transition as much as I could, because it's different when you're when you're like, I can't wait to get out. I'm ready to get out. And you're kicking and screaming because you don't want to get out. So it's a different feeling. So it was 2013. I was medically retired, February 2013, after I ensured that I would be absolutely taken care of, medically retired, 100% service-connected disability, because I didn't come in with these kidney problems. So, and that's why I tell every service member, go get your VA rating while you're still active duty.
Exactly. That's you can say that again if you would for our veterans listening. Go ahead.
I will say it again. I'll say it 50 times. Please go get your VA evaluation before you get out of the military, because they will make sure that it's done, and you'll get it done properly. You can have all your paperwork evaluated by JAG. So all your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, and you'll have a rating before you get out. Because if you wait till you get out, it'll be years. Years, if ever, because there's no rush.
That's right. It's for many, many years. I worked almost 25 years in the VA system. We always encouraged through in San Antonio, all of the military bases, get your people up here, get them into the VA system. And they tried to do a good job. They didn't always get it done. People were just so anxious to get out and get away that they didn't file. And then 10 years later, they got this disability, hearing or whatever. And it's hard to document how to get it approved. So that's a great point. Yeah. So back to you real quick. If you right now you're at Walter Reed and they decide that you have the idiopathic disease process, then what did they do? Did you go right into dialysis there? You went home to Virginia, right?
I went home, yes, because I was stationed at Quantico.
Oh, wow.
At the time, yes. Yeah. and I was living in Stafford, but I had to do so much because Stafford, cost of living there was a little high. So I was like, I'm getting out. I need to move. I moved down to Fredericksburg, where it was a little bit cheaper. I was living alone at the time, single, no children. So I wanted to ensure that I was prepared for that, because I was not going to move back. I'm from Georgia originally, but I didn't really have a desire to move back home because I'm a very independent person.
Close to Walter Reed too. Going to Georgia, close. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yes, the treatment at Walter Reed, there's no comparison. So the last thing I wanted to do was, I started with them. I want to continue with them as long as possible.
Yeah,
as long as possible.
You would have had an option to go over to the VA if you want. You still have that option. You can still do it. But right now, because you are medically retired, you get the services at that facility at Walter Reed. And I think you made a really smart decision. All right.
Yes, I'm still seen at Walter Reed.
and I don't think for you to change that course. I think you're right where you need to be. But some people don't have that option, and they end up going to the VA, and the VA has a good program.
Yes. I mainly stayed with Walter Reed because I started with them, and I really appreciated the nephrology team that I had, because I never felt like I was in the dark about anything, even though, being in the military, because these are, a great deal of them are active duty. So they're telling you the blunt truth. And I appreciated that. Even if it was like I don't want to hear that, but and you need to hear that as a patient.
Absolutely.
And there's that mutual respect, which sometimes can be lost in the VA. Right. Especially from a woman's perspective, I have to be honest.
That's
and
right. You're exactly.
So I didn't want to I didn't want to give that up. I still don't want to give that up. And now I live in Richmond, so I take a 4 to 5 hour round trip to see my nephrologist, because the treatment is worth it.
Yeah, mine's 2 hours. So I mean, what's another 2 when you appreciate what you have?
Exactly.
That's most important thing to know is to realize that the female military population, although it's growing, is still not, I don't think, gets the respect it needs to get in the VA system. And that's another story. We'll talk about that some other day. But there is a movement, I think, now to try to clean that up somewhat. And I hope they do that. Okay, so you progressed, then you ended up finally, when did you go on dialysis?
I went on dialysis in 2014.
Okay, that's roughly 3 years after your diagnosis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
go ahead.
Oh, I didn't. I guess it felt like I was trapped in a situation.
Many people do.
Yeah, I wasn't looking forward to dialysis. So when it happened, it hit me really hard. Really hard.
During that transition time, I'm talking 3 years. I'm saying that could have been longer, could have been shorter. The point is, were you approached about getting a living donor for a transplant?
Yes. Okay. After they, the team did an excellent job of telling me all of my options.
Okay.
The goal automatically was, okay, be compliant with your treatment, be compliant with your diet, your medications, stay healthy, watch your weight, and then we can pursue a kidney transplant. So that was something that was always discussed with me. Okay.
That's been the nature of this executive order now, is taking a look at trying to get people on a transplant, get them transplanted before they go on dialysis. That's just part of it. But that's not, I don't want to look back and say this or that about your condition. I'm just saying a lot of people don't get told what you got told.
Oh, absolutely. It's a shame.
Get it. Absolutely. And that's my point. It's not about you. It's about all those folks out there that are led to dialysis so that, they can get on. If they have to go, I get it. But if they have windows, 3 years is a long time. You can do a lot for years, right?
I mean, I have spoke to many patients who weren't even told all of their dialysis options. They were just told, go to hemo. There's no such thing as PD, there's no home hemo. Just go to DaVita or go to Fresenius. Like that's
the
decision was made for them.
Yeah, that's the tragedy of the whole situation. That's what we're trying to do, especially with you, because you get it. All right, you understand this, and you're in it. You're in, I think, the premier system in Walter Reed. You've gotten excellent care, and you got excellent pre-care. All right, you were told. A lot of people don't get that information. They're just led on down the path to go ahead and go to dialysis, and no options. So if a patient can't, and I read your bio, and I know you, I know what you think about advocacy. It's not about you. It's about helping others to make darn sure they have options.
No, absolutely. That's why I joined the Quality Insights Renal Network 5 Patient Advisory Committee here in Richmond, because I want to learn how CMS works. Because honestly, I'm a little shocked at how different CMS is in comparison to VA or DOD.
Oh, it's light years different.
Yes.
Light years different.
Yes.
And it's a whole different world.
Yes.
And it impacts everybody, civilian, government, like DOD, everything. That impacts everything.
Yes.
So it's good to bring yourself up to that level, because then you can convey that to other people. That's what I like about it. You always you're always in gear. You know what I mean? You're always in gear. Okay, listen. So you told me you were shocked when you went on dialysis. What do you mean by shocked?
Because the way it happened, it was like the first year and a half, it was just a steady, very slow decline. Like they're like, oh, it's probably going to be a while before you start dialysis. And then out of nowhere, it just plummeted to the point where I had to get the surgery for a fistula, but I didn't even have enough time for the fistula to mature. I had to receive a chest catheter.
Yeah.
And I was not ready for that.
Oh.
I was not ready. It was so sudden because I just got so sick. Oh my gosh. I tell people, it's like I felt myself dying. I felt everything slow down. I couldn't even barely walk my dog because everything just everything. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like, I just felt my life like leaving my body.
Exactly.
And so sick.
Yep.
Smelling ammonia, can't eat, can't taste anything. And it's like, okay, well, why am I, there's no military training in the world that can prepare you for that. I don't, some people are like, well, you're a Marine. No, they didn't teach this in boot camp. Like, I was not ready for that.
That decline happens to everybody.
Yes.
It does with kidney disease. That's some things that's not really told to people when they're diagnosed. And it's different. I get it. I understand that sometimes it's very precipitous. It's like a train wreck, train out of control. Others just kind of glide down. But the significance of it is when your GFR goes down, the farther it goes down, the sicker you are. Sickness and your inability to adjust gets harder and harder because you don't have any kidney function. Then it affects your heart, affects your liver, affects your whole body, and you essentially are dying from the inside out.
Yes.
That's the most difficult thing for me to understand when I was going through it. At what point do I stop? My creatinine was 17 when I was transplanted. I only had 2 days of dialysis. So there's a difference there. I want people to understand that, you as a patient, we go back to this advocacy business, you are responsible for your own care. And you need to know your numbers. You need to know what direction you want to go. But that you have to be given options to do that. You can't pick those out of the sky.
Absolutely.
You have to be told, right?
Yes, you have to be told, but then also you have to do your own due diligence. These days, a lot of people, they know how to get on Facebook. They know what these celebrities, what's going on in these celebrities' lives. But I can ask somebody, well, hey, have you looked up like your, kidney disease symptoms? Like, do you know how to read your dialysis monitor? And they're like, no. I'm like, no, okay. There's, the onus is on you. I know it's scary. I know sometimes that's the last thing you want to think about, but you have to know what's going on with what you've been diagnosed with. You have to know how to take care of yourself. You, just like you said, Kent, you are your own best advocate.
Yeah. And the doctors will tell you, you don't always understand it, right? If they tell you something that, well, you got this idiopathic condition, you're shocked, and it may take you months to figure out what they're talking about. All along, your body's deteriorating. All right.
Yes. So, and that's why I tried to look up some information. There was barely any information about MPGN, but I was printing it out and taking it to my nephrologist, like, explain this to me because I have no idea what any of this says.
Your chances with your nephrologist are your most valuable time you spend in your life.
Yes.
You get to, I don't care if you're on video, if you're on Zoom or whatever with your doc, that function is to talk about you, not about how his golf game is, or not about how his fishing group is, or what you did last week with your family. Your focus should be totally on your condition and where it's going. Period.
Absolutely.
That's what doctor's appointments are for. They're not for chit chat. They're for getting to the bottom of what's going on with you.
Absolutely.
So,
I totally agree.
And you get into a point where you think, well, I'm fine. Well, you're not fine. You have to accept it. And that takes people a long time. And some people get it right away, others don't. But once you grasp it, then that's when you become your own best advocate. You need a push, you need a mentor, someone to make you be what you're supposed to be. I guess is that Army or Marine? Be your best.
Army. Be all that you can be in the Army. Yeah, that's hard.
But you've done that. I've watched you. I think I've known you now for almost 4 years. I've seen you progress through AAKP, and I've seen you progress. And you had a little rough go after you had your transplant here just about a year ago. Did you not? Maybe a little less.
I've had a few rough.
Tell about dialysis, and you go to transplant. You get a transplant. Tell me how that was.
Okay.
How that happened.
So I was only on dialysis for 8 months, and that I'm so grateful. I am beyond grateful for that, because I know that's not normal. I was told many times that was not normal, but it was, as soon as my transplant coordinator gave me the green light to pursue a living donor, I hit the ground running. I was like, I am going to find a living donor. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it. And I see, and I think it's exciting, because when I started doing it, I didn't see many people trying to find a kidney, and now there's more people doing it, and that's awesome. But if for those who may be listening that are pursuing a kidney, you have to do more. You have to tell your story. That's what did it for me. You have to continuously show up and say, hey, this is what my life is like with dialysis. This is who I am as a person. I'm a human being. My life has changed significantly due to this illness, and this is how my quality of life will improve if I have the good fortune of receiving a transplant. And that's something that you need to be relaying as often as possible. A picture is nice, but sharing your story, sharing your journey on a consistent basis. You can do it through YouTube. You could do it through Instagram. I chose Instagram for me because Facebook, you're gonna have people who are gonna be like, I can't believe she putting herself out there like that. That's cool. remember, people are going to talk about you when you're alive, and people are going to talk about you when you're dead. So you can talk about me while I'm still breathing. I'm going to find a kidney. That was my focus. And I had a little over 20 people get tested.
Yeah.
And I had a perfect match. My donor, she doesn't like to, she said she did not donate for the accolades. She didn't donate to be put on a pedestal. So she's a very private person. So I don't put all her business out there like that. But I would be remiss not to mention her, and that she is my blood sister, and I love her to death. And I'm so grateful for her doing that for me, because she heard my story. She knew of me, but she didn't like know me. And she gave me this second chance at life. I received my kidney transplant April 2nd, 2015. And I'm grateful for it. But you know, you are reminded that a kidney transplant, even though it is great because you're no longer on dialysis, it is still just a treatment. So sometimes you are replacing one set of symptoms and challenges and medical complications for another. And that's what I did with my transplant, which is fine. You know, I knew what to expect. I was well, you know, I was given plenty of information about what could happen. And then with my rare autoimmune disorder, I was already told that there was a possibility that the MPGN could attack my transplanted kidney, and unfortunately it did.
Yeah, that was where I was headed with this, because it's all of these FSGS types, or idiopathic, primary, secondary, circulatory, whatever you want to call them, hereditary, all of these conditions in the nephrotic syndrome have a tendency to come back and get the transplanted kidney. Has the potential, doesn't always,
doesn't always.
Right. So again, you know, like we always say, it's like bumps in the road. It's not really mountains, it's always bumps. There's always a bump in the road. And that part of this, when you have it kind of recurring, or did you have to have biopsies again with this? Tell us about that experience.
I've had 5 on my transplanted kidney, because I've had 5.
Yeah,
I've had 5 because when I first got my transplant, I was working government job, 12-hour shift, doing video on my feet all the time, running back and forth, not really eating, not hydrating, take my medications late. They don't, you know, they're like, hey, but you got a job to do, so you better figure it out. But I end up having a rejection scare, and so I had to go through that process for a week or so, and that was a year. That was a year after I received my kidney transplant.
Right.
And that scared me. I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to make some changes. And so I got out of that job and started doing. Okay. I became a Jane of all trades, I guess. At the time, just try to figure out what to do. Like, I did some freelance photography. I you know, did working on websites, selling things, just whatever. Because I had to check, but at the same time, you know, I wanted to make more income at the same time.
This is really the most important part of this conversation now after transplant. Just having a transplant doesn't fix it.
No.
It's better. And you know what? A lot of people think, well, I can't go back to work. You can, but you've got to be selected. The whole point is you got to take care of yourself. Yourself comes first. The job doesn't come first.
Absolutely.
The job will kill you.
Yes.
Right? You got to work. Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm very envious of some people who were able to stay in the job that they were in, because for me, I could never go back to being in Marines. So I was still trying to find my way. And with the government job, it was just as demanding as being in the military. And I learned that the hard way, that was not the type of work that I was able to do with the autoimmune disease that I was diagnosed with. It caused more harm than good, even though it was a good paying job, and I didn't want to get rid of it, but my donor would have beat me up.
I can tell you.
She would have been like, you had me going through all this, and you know what I mean? But no, seriously, no, it would have been highly disrespectful of me to take that gift for granted and try to be stubborn and do something that I know that I was no longer able to do. So I had to adjust accordingly, and I had to go through a process of finding my way, because I wasn't just going through kidney disease. I was going through just trying to figure out who I was.
Sure.
Because the majority of my adult life, I was in the Marines.
Yeah.
And then it was all gone because of a medical condition. Right. So, and then my life became this medical condition. So once I had the transplant, I was like, well, who am I? Like existential crisis. They don't tell you about that.
You don't have a chance. You don't really have your breath, right?
Yes, but yes.
If you go back and you go back a little bit in your history after the transplant, you'll realize that you felt so good almost immediately that you thought you could go ahead and do it exactly. You could do everything. Right?
Oh yes, I thought I could back on track to taking over the world. I'm got it, leader. I'm good. But no, my body was like, no.
You still have
sit down.
Yeah, you still have kidney disease. It doesn't leave
you.
It's
there.
All right.
Yes.
The fatigue, that worn out feeling, sometimes anxiety, depression, all kinds of things can happen to you, but that's life. But now you got all these drugs on board to suppress all of this rejection thing. You have to live it to understand it. You can't explain it. You have to live it to understand it.
I went through the strangest bout of survivor's guilt. It's one thing to go through survivor. It was weird. I having survivor's guilt after deploying overseas is in itself like, how did I survive and these other people died? Now it's like I went through survivor's guilt because there were individuals who were on dialysis before I was on dialysis, and then I left them and they're still on dialysis.
Yes, ma'am. I hear you.
So I felt like trash, like, why did I get this and they couldn't get it? That's not right. It was a strange space, a strange headspace to be in. And so I thought, oh, I'm gonna do all this stuff and I'm gonna save them and I gotta do it all because I got this kidney. But everything came to a grinding halt because I realized that I still needed to work on myself. The transplant doesn't heal everything. It doesn't heal that mental space. It doesn't heal that heart space that kidney disease can affect it so much.
Right.
And I had to take a step back and go, okay, well, I'm going to be here for my, for my people that I care about, but I got to take care of myself. I have to figure out how I'm going to navigate this new way of life.
We have a saying in the group that I work with. It's called "Stay in your own lane."
Yes.
And to me, I mean, you feel so good. I've felt so good for as long as I've had this kidney, but I've had other medical problems that I really did have to focus in my career on what I was doing, working in an intensive care unit with all of the stress and all the chance to get an infection. I didn't think it was worth it. So I gravitated to something else. This kidney disease, period, whether you transplant or on dialysis, is a constant adjustment. Your body adjusts, so you have to adjust mentally, physically, emotionally. If you don't, you're not going to do well. And that's you. Thank God that you saw that. A lot of people don't. They just move on to the rejection. All right. And that's what's tragic.
Oh no, that's why I will always contribute that to my mom, who is also, she's a retired nurse. So I get to have a nurse and, that spiritual compass.
That's
because
right.
She always reminds me, like if I'm frustrated or I'm not sure, she's like, did you talk to God about it? I'm like, no. Hey, have you watched Dr. Charles Stanley? I'm like, no. Have you? When the last time you read some scripture? It's been a
Yeah,
while.
when Bible. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
she makes sure that I'm reminded that I can't do it all. I can't do everything. I can't heal myself. I have to release that and
You have to.
have faith.
Yeah. You see now
Yes.
what you just described was mentorship. Your mom's your mentor.
Oh, yes.
The difference between advocacy and mentoring. Mentoring means that you're in for the whole 9 yards. You're not talking legal stuff. You're talking about being there when an individual calls you. They may not call you right away, may call you 2 days later, a week later, a month later, a year later. But when they call, you're available.
Yeah.
Not to give them medical advice, but to give them support. That's mentoring.
Yes.
And that's what you do. You don't realize it now, but that's what eventually you're going to be one of the best that there is. I can just tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can. You have that. And the guy that's sitting behind, not saying anything here, Jason, he's going to be the same thing. He already is. But that's our calling. First of all, it's to take care of ourselves so we can do what we need to do to help others. That's what the prayer was just about. All right. Help me understand what I need to do, knowing God, so that I can help others. I help myself. Now, what can I do for others? All right.
Yes.
And that's you. I mean, that's a capsule. That's a good camera shot of Jennifer Jones right there.
Oh,
I don't want you to lose that. I'm telling you from a daddy or grandpa, that whatever you want to call it, I'm telling you from a support side, you got this. You understand it. You get it. All right. And I want you to keep it there. All right. I want you to stay in that focus, stay in your lane, and work with others like you're doing. You've got so many gifts to give. All right.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Kent. Thank you.
Now, you tell me if there's anything we have forgotten to talk about you. All right. Is there anything in your story that you like to get out?
Well, I am excited now that, after working on myself and figuring out what path, what role I want to play, in regards to kidney disease advocacy, that I did find the American Association of Kidney Patients, because if I wouldn't have found you. And a lot of amazing people. And, I was just elected to the board of directors. So it's extremely exciting.
That was one of the things I wanted to bring up. And I'm glad you brought it up, because it's an honor to be in that group.
Yes.
You got the James Myers and the Brian Hesses. You've got people with tons of experience. You got ex-Marines. You've got people who've been transplanted for 3 years. You got people who've been transplanted for 24 years. You got people who cannot be transplanted. They're on dialysis for the rest of their lives. So you are in a good group of people, and you'll only bring honor to them. You'll also bring a lot of knowledge, and we welcome you. We're really happy to have you on the board.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope I can contribute in a very meaningful way. I'm so excited.
You've already done that in the veterans circle.
Yes.
You've done a great amount of work just working with veterans with AAKP. You are a spokesman for AAKP for veterans, and that's what we need. We need young vets that understand the system like you do, but they're also capable of bringing other vets in, like Durante and all of the other folks, to get them to understand that AAKP means I want to take care of patients. I want kidney patients to get the best, and we want the veteran patient to get the best. All right.
Yes, absolutely.
Hard everywhere, no matter where they're at, they're active duty or what. We want them taken care of. Right?
Absolutely. And then veterans can make meaningful headways in the advocacy space, being able to speak to our elected officials and being able to go to Capitol Hill once all of this COVID stuff is over, because being able to share our unique experiences with our unique backgrounds can really, help push some of those key policies forward because they'll see that people from all walks of life are affected.
Yep.
It was really exciting. And you mentioned Duranta, that he's another Darton Briggs. He's another one who I'm just so grateful. It's amazing to me the caliber of person that AAKP attracts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's a different breed of person. And that's why I'm also a member of a Darton Briggs, a nonprofit, a Veterans Transplantation Association, which also provides resources and just a safe space for veterans who have received transplants, who went through that process like I did, who not really sure how to move forward afterwards.
We all know how his work. And that's, shame on me for not being a member of it. I need to get involved with that.
Yes, he's doing some amazing things. He is about to break ground for a whole veterans retreat for veterans with transplants in Maryland. So that's highly exciting. Yes.
Well, I guess I better call him.
Yes.
I'll do that. Okay, buddy, listen, I'd like to talk to you all day, man. I do that occasionally. I'll give you a call, just see how you're doing. I'm going to keep doing that. And I really like it when I see text from you and everything. I'm glad I'm in the same sphere as you are, because I think we can make a lot of headway, and I appreciate you. Okay, Jennifer, here's a lasting question for you. I would like you to tell me how, if people want to get a hold of you, how would they do that on social media?
All right, you can find me at my website, www.genresilient.com. That is GENRESILIENT.com. I am a resilience consultant as well as a kidney disease advocate. You can also find me on Instagram at GenResilient and Twitter at GenResilient. Okay. I am most active on Instagram. So if you want to be in the know about everything, that is the place to be. But if you would like to contact me, want to take a look at any of my services, then please visit my website. Perfect.
We'll do it. From now on, just keep talking. We're going to just have a good time with this kidney disease. We're going to make it better for a lot of people. So absolutely. If you guys out there, you join an organization, AAKP, NKF, AKF, join an organization. You get a lot of information that's free most of the time. I also want you to take on wings like Jennifer's got. Be yourself, take care of yourself. That's the most important part. And remember, after you've taken care of yourself, keep breathing.